But getting straight into it, we know what happened just an hour ago. There was the news. Tottenham versus AZ Alkmaar. Familiar face. We faced them already in the league phase early on in the season. I was actually at that game. Wasn't such a comfy win, but ultimately we got the win with a Richarlison penalty. How do you feel about that draw? Would you prefer AZ Alkmaar or Sociedad? And how do you fancy our chances?
Look, you know what it is with me? I've never been one to really complain about who we get in cup competitions, because you have to beat the best of the best anyway if we want to win this competition. Like, we're going to have to beat the likes of, obviously Galatasaray got knocked out, but they're the ones who had beat us in the group stages. But we're going to have to beat teams like Sociedad anyway to get there. So, of course, getting a team like AZ, like, they're not as good as Sociedad, but it's still not a team that we have to undermine, because they just whooped Galatasaray anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I'll never be one to play down competition and act like we're just going to steamroll or we're going to coast to the finals. But in order to get to the finals and win the competition, we're going to have to beat the best teams that are available anyway. So I'm happy that, you know what I'm saying, we didn't have to go through the playoffs, because that's where I really had a bit of nervousness when it comes to the team. Are they going to, if we get to the playoffs, are we going to get through? But luckily, we did what we needed to do. We went through straight away, and now that's 2 less games the players have to play in it. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready for AZ. I was ready for Sociedad. I wasn't too, you know what I'm saying, picky about who we got, but
big facts though. You are right about that. I think the key thing that you pointed out there was you have to beat the best teams anyway to win the competition. So no matter who you get, you're gonna have to play them if you're really serious about doing something here. So when I look at the draw, don't get me wrong, AZ Alkmaar was the team that I fancied more, simply just because we played them already. It's a known quantity. When you have an expectation going into the game, we know what to expect of them. I know they were missing a few players from that game, so there will definitely be a more improved side. But in a 2-legged fixture against them, I definitely fancy us. We had quite a few players out. We played the likes of Mikey Moore, and that's when he was lighting up the stadium, just doing those runs, taking on their guys down the wing. So I think this presents an opportunity for us to just go out there, not take. Let me not say take it too serious. We can probably play a few players up, like drop a few players and rotate the team a little, but also, you know, it's going to be a game that we're going to have to take serious, because let's have it right. This is the only competition that we're in for. Man, like Ange said, I win stuff in my second season and all this rubbish. Like, bro, we need to see some. Show me some, bro, because right now, it doesn't. He's lost a lot of the fan base. He's lost a lot of the fan base with his comments, with the way that he's playing, with some of the decisions that he's made. And if he can win that, I think that will unite us together again, you know, because it's been 17 years since we won something. It's tough times.
Yeah, man.
These times.
You know, literally, it's the fact is that even if it was a Carabao Cup, fam, we just want to see something. Like, any type of trophy would have been enough to unite the fan base, in at least most of the fan base. I know there'd still be a portion that would be Ange out nevertheless, because we want our standards to be higher than just a Carabao Cup is enough. Because we've seen with Man United, a Carabao Cup and an FA Cup isn't enough to save a manager when they're playing dead football, getting bopped around. You know what I'm saying? Like your local escort and that. So we need to have those kind of standards as well. But in order to get to those standards, we have to crawl before we can walk. So that's crazy. Fair, isn't it? Fair, J Spurs. But yeah, we need to be able to crawl before we could walk. And we're not at that kind of level where we can demand, you know what I'm saying, a double, or demand a Europa League and something else, or a trophy and top four. We're not in that kind of stage yet, unfortunately, as much as we want to be, because we haven't done both. You know what I'm saying? I remember that game, but we've never. I don't remember the last time we ever got top four and a trophy, fam. Like, we've gotten one or the other. So we need to make sure we get the trophies first. Then we can start going for top four and a trophy. Then we can start going for doubles. Then we can start competing for the league while also competing in the cups. It's a process, innit? Which, I hate that word, but it is what it is, innit?
No, it is. It's a process. You got to slowly take steps forward in that process and prove to not just yourselves, but prove to the fans that you actually have the ability to go out there and get the job done. If you can't do it in the Carling Cup, you can't do it in the Europa League, then how are you ever going to go do it in the Premier League, Champions League, or in the bigger competitions? And ultimately, we've got to do something here. And AZ Alkmaar presents a decent opportunity to go out there, get through that round. And then I didn't actually check. Let me quickly see what side of the phase we're on, because I saw that we're versing Alkmaar, but depending on what side you get drawn on, it can depend on how how easy or how hard the draw is going to be after that, because they pretty much based it all out. Let me just get this up and I'll share my
I'd assume we'd probably be in the harder bracket because we didn't come in the top 3. We came 4th. So it might be, but I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's like an NBA thing.
I've got this.
But
I've got this here. Let me share my screen real quick, and you can see just how it's going to play out. All right, let me see if. Oh shit! Let me zoom in a bit. Wait, why is that bugging? All right, there we can see. So Tottenham on this side of the bracket, left side of the bracket. This is the side that I actually wanted to be fair, but this is where it gets tough. If we get through, let me not say once we get through, because boy, it's Spurs. Yeah? If we get through against AZ Alkamaar, we got on either Ajax or Frankfurt in the next round, which is going to be a tough draw. Frankfurt are more than likely to go through, and they are a tough game. But again, if Frankfurt get through there, it's very likely we get Lazio in the semi-final. It's not the game that you want, and that's going to be a tough game. So let's have it right. Getting through AZ Alkmaar doesn't really mean much. The 2 next fixtures are just as hard, just as tough. But if you get through those games, then you're probably going to be looking at either maybe an athletic club, I'd say. So the biggest problem with versus an athletic club is they actually have the final at their home ground.
Yeah.
It favors them more than anything. And I don't see Man United. Even if Man United get through Sociedad, they're probably going to struggle against Lyon. And even if they get through there's no way they're beating Athletic Club in the semi-final. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. So when you look at it looking like a tough run. This Europa League could really be a tough run. Let's see how it actually does play out. Let's see how it does play out. But we do have the guy here now. He's finally shown his face. He's in the background. Once he puts his camera on, he's going to be here, but we can hear him. But before we actually move on, because I want to get Jay's thoughts on the Europa League draw. Do you actually think we can win it, or have you accepted the fact that it's probably not going to happen?
I actually think we can win it. We have a good enough squad to win the Europa League, and as much as my criticisms of Ange, I believe that he's at a point where he's changed things up. Like, he has adapted. Whether it's worked or not is a different story, but he has changed things up. Now, one thing I will say, I think is
you don't have to say, man. I hear it, but it's calm. It's calm.
I'm gonna say, like, I believe that even though I don't think Ange is the guy to take us forward, I do believe that with this squad, he is good enough of a manager to get us the Europa League. I do believe that, because our squad, as much as we say our squad isn't good enough, yada, 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 I believe the squad's good enough. I mean, having 1 game a week last year, we got Europa League football, and now we're knocked out of both cups. We ain't got to worry about the FA Cup and the Carabao no more. And when it comes to the Premier League's done anyway. So it's not like we're rushing to get a Europa League spot, to get a Champions League spot. We don't have to necessarily worry too much about the Premier League. As long as we get to our 40 points, it's pretty much the Europa League is the main thing for us. So I'm not really not necessarily I'm not too worried, but I feel like if the manager plays his cards right, if the players step up, I believe the Europa League isn't anything that's too far-fetched. I mean, like I said before, we have to beat the top teams to get to the final anyway. To win the competition, we're going to have to beat a Bilbao or a Lazio or whoever else makes it there. So I personally believe the squad's good enough. I believe the manager can get it done as well, because he's now showing that he can adapt and do different things. Whether or not it works and whether or not he can actually implement what we need to do at the time is another story. So we're going to see that. But yeah, that's my thoughts, man.
Fairs, I think it's a fair way to look at it. He definitely buys himself more time if he does get the job done. But Jay, welcome to the show. Hope you're doing good, my bro. Hope you're well. You look like you just woke up, so I don't think you actually have seen the draw. But we're versing.
Nah, I saw the draw. Bro, I've been awake. I'm trying not to fall asleep. I'm shattered, but yeah. It is what it is, man. AZ Alkmaar. You know what? I can't be happy, bro. Like I can't be happy, man. I just can't, because I've seen these players, bro. I know what they're like when it comes to knockout competitions and pressure, bro. We have a chance to win it. Can we? In fact, furthermore, should we win the Europa League? Yes, we should win it. Like, we should have enough to win it, of course. But I question the mentality now. Maybe, you know, maybe these men might prove me wrong. I hope they do prove me wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? But hey, actually back the team. Why you support them? I've been backing a team all season, man, and just led to crash out after crash out after crash out. So I'm not setting myself up for disappointment. You know what I'm saying? Look, if we win, of course I'm going to be over the moon. I'll be probably running down Tottenham High Road with my shirt off. But yeah, do I think we can win the Europa League? I don't know. I don't know. Especially with all these other teams, like you lot said, Lazio, Sociedad. Like, these are good teams. These are not bad teams. Do you know what I'm saying? Roma, Galatasaray. You know, I'm pretty sure what is it? Feyenoord? Are Feyenoord in it?
I'm not sure, but Frankfurt, we're going to end up playing Frankfurt in the next
Frankfurt is
round.
what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. They're not
it'll
a
be
bad
Frankfurt.
side
Yeah,
either. Do you know what I'm
good
saying?
team.
We've had trouble against them in the past as well. Let's not, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's just my thoughts personally.
No, it's fair. It's fair. I think it's one of those ones where I was one of the fans that most of the season, people probably see me, especially on rival shows. I've said, boy, we're getting Europa League. I feel it. I trust it. I feel like we can get the job done. Just sense like this might be the year that Spurs finally return to the Europa League. But when I look at it and I've seen how we've been in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, and those two exits, I'm looking at, I'm like, yeah, head's not in the right place. Mentality's not there. And like you pointed to, they haven't shown that they can get the job done. So I'm struggling to sit here and say we can win it. But at the same time, you got to take it game by game. Can we beat AZ Alkmaar? Yes. Can we beat Frankfurt? Let's see how they do in the next two fixtures, and then we can evaluate at that point. But Frankfurt's no team to write off because they not. I think they won a Europa League just a few seasons ago, and that was under Glasner when they beat West Ham in the final, didn't it? And they had a pretty good year that year. So that's a team that's done it before very recently. So they've got players that are used to doing this. Spurs don't. None of our players are winners right now. That's our problem. We just signed all these young players that ain't right up here. And I always say football's played in the head before it's played in the field. And that's what a lot of people don't get. They just think you can be a good footballer and it's always going to work out.